Good day, everybody. I hope that you're well and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today we'll be doing our grade 7 English lesson on sentence creation. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English language arts. We're doing grade 7. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of sentence creations. All right. So our chapter is sentence creations. Our subject is English language arts. We're doing grade 7. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of sentence creations, it is to create a sentence based on the model. All right. So when it comes to sentence creations and creating sentences based on a model, so in order to make your writing more interesting, right, you need to try and use a mix of different kinds of sentences. So we need to make our writing more interesting, right, by using a mix of different kinds of sentences. So when it comes to us having different kinds of sentences, you can get ideas for new kinds of sentences by imitating the sentences that you read. Imitating it. All right. And when we imitate models, right? To imitate a model sentence, you need to first look at its form of pattern. Ask what sort of words, phrases, and clauses the sentence uses and what order they are then we create a new sentence following the same pattern. All right. So once again, we're saying that in order for you to make your writing more interesting, you need to try and use a mix of different kinds of sentences. All right. So we're going to try and create a sentence based on the model, right? And we see that in order for us to make writing more interesting, you need to try and use a mix of different kind of sentences. You can get ideas for new kinds of sentences by imitating the sentences that you have read. To imitate the model sentence, we need to first look at the form or the pattern, ask what sort of words, phrases, and clauses the sentence uses and what order they are in. All right. All right. So now let's go quickly to aplusstudents.ca and we're going to continue and look examples on sentence creations and model. So we're going to create a sentence based on the model. So we're now going to look at this example that we have in front of us. It says, we need to read the model sentence from Virginia Hamilton's The House of There's a Dysdrea. It says, Thomas was 13 years old today, and never in his life had he been so far from home. We need to use the words and the phrases to create a new sentence that matches the model. It says, had seemed a little tasty before. Did the reason become clear to him? But only at this moment, Dan's sister, period. We need to put that words in order to create that phrase. And we're going to start with Dan's sister had seemed a little tasty before. I think, but only at the moment the reason became clear to him. Let's see. Yeah. Dan's sister had seemed a little tasty before, but only at this moment did the reason become clear to him. Period. So that is how we put it in order. We said Dan's sister had seemed a little tasty before. Did the reason become clear to him? And we're going to put period. Oh, I forgot to put, but only at that moment. So we say Dan's sister had seemed a little tasty before, but only at this moment did the reason become clear to him. And we need to, for example, if we look at this model, if it's a model, it says we had to use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches the model, right? And we basically looked at this sentence compared to the first sentence that we wrote that says, Thomas was 13 years old today and never in his life had he been far away from home. That was the model sentence. And then they said we need to use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches the model. All right. And we said in order for us to make writing more interesting, we need to try and use a mix of different kinds of sentences. And you can get ideas for new kinds of sentences by imitating the sentence that you read. And in order for us to imitate a model sentence, we need to first look at its form or pattern. Ask what sort of words, phrases, or clauses the sentence uses and what order they are in. Then we need to create a new sentence that follows the pattern. And our model sentence based on this example over here. It says, when I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house, I had only two things on my mind: Paul Newman and a ride home. So that is the model sentence, right? And then we have a new sentence, and the new sentence that basically imitates the model sentence is, it says, as long as our secret hideout stayed hidden from other people in the deep deserted forest, we would have our long life dream. No parents and plenty of beef jerky. All right. And if you look at both of those sentences, right, the first one that says, when I stepped out in the bright sunlight, as long as our secret hideout said hidden, both sentences they use the subordinating conjunction when and as long as to introduce the first clause. And if we look at both of the sentences also, both of the sentences they also use subordinating conjunctions as well as the prepositional phrase, which is into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house from other people in the deep deserted forest. And that is to modify parts of the first sentence or the first clause. And also both sentences they use colons over here. And the colon that we have over there, that is to introduce the final noun phrase of that sentence or the clause. And that is either no parents and plenty of beef jerky, or the final one is Paul Newman and a ride home. And that is after the colon. All right. Now we're going on to the next one. We need to read the model sentence from Grace Lynn's Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, and then we need to use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches our model. The first one says, the model sentence says, a BA seemed to drop his gray and work weariness. His black eyes sparkled like raindrops in the sun, where he began a story. Then, and our sentence that imitates or all right. So we look at the model verb, and then thereafter we use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches the model. It says, Pierre seemed to drop his gray work weariness, his black eyes sparkled like raindrops in the sun. We began a story. And if we use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches the model, we say Gary decided to throw fastballs. All right. So now we're going to our test where we're going to create a sentence based on the model. All right. We now need to, it says based on that model sentence, right? We need to put these words in order. And we need to put the words and the phrases to create a new sentence that matches that model. All right. And if we were to look at the words in order to make us something similar to the model sentence, then yes, we're going to start first with the steady trickle of an abandoned house sparkled the sandstone, mocking the thirsty flower bed just beside it. Period. All right. And if we were to choose the correct option, all right. So we need to choose the sentence over here or phrase. Today was 13 years. Today, Thomas, sorry, was 13 years old today, and never in his life has he been so far from home. We now need to use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches the model. So we can then say Thomas Adams, sorry, sister seemed a little tasty before, but only at the moment did the reason become clear to him. All right. So we're going to choose the correct option. All right. The next one says, when the wicked witch looked out again and saw all the crows lying in a heap, she got into a terrible rage and blew 3 times upon the silver whistle. We need to use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches our model. All right. All right. And if we were to choose the correct words and phrases to create a sentence that matches our model, so we can say, after Katie peered inside and saw so many cats crawling over the food or crawling after the food, she recoiled in disgust and ran out of the kitchen. All right, so that is our sentence that matches our model sentence. All right. So now, if you look at our sentence, right, and then we need to our model sentence, and then we just need to write a normal sentence that matches with our model sentence. All right. And then once we've done that, then we're going to use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches the word. right. All right, so now when we create sentences, right, we have a model sentence, and then we have a sentence that's almost like imitating that model sentence. So this is now the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good day.